folks, it's not just going to save people's lives and save people money so they don't have to go bankrupt to try to stay alive. It's going to save the government. It's going to reduce the deficit this year, $160 billion. These guys keep saying, how are you going to cut the deficit? Well, guess what? If your tax dollars don't have to go up paying all that exorbitant price for Medicare to drug companies, and it's rational, it's going to save $160 billion in tax dollars.
Oh, boy. President Biden in the Keystone State yesterday unveiling a $6.8 trillion budget plan, repealing the Trump tax cuts, increasing the corporate tax rate to 7% and increasing the personal tax rate to its highest rate in 40-plus years. For more on this, let's welcome back in Pennsylvania Congressman and member of the House Financial Services Committee, Dan Meuser. Congressman, great to have you back on. Just want to get your top-line thoughts on the president's budget proposal yesterday.
Yeah. Well, that speech was shameless, and he's just in the dark. You know, what you're supposed to try to do is accentuate the positives and eliminate the negatives. We all know that saying. Right. This budget accentuates the negatives and then some. We've got 2,000 new EPA employees, and we have 200 new Border Patrol. So there's no paying attention to the border whatsoever. There's new taxes on gas and oil. Clearly, gasoline and energy costs are a real problem and issue and contribute to inflation. The level of spending, Rob, it accentuates inflation. There's no question about it. Nobody would argue with that. And the business taxes, it's an assault on small business, and the raise in corporate taxes kills Made in America. And yet, good old Joe will stand there and say, hey, we want to make it America. He's raising taxes on American manufacturers higher than they get their tax in China.
Wow.
It's an outrage, and it's not going to pass.
So this likely doesn't see the light of day. What did you make of Joe Biden doing this in your home state, in the city of Philadelphia?
Well, you know, it's right up the road for him. I mean, he's not exactly a hardworking guy, so he's not going to go too far. But it's, you know, he thinks he's... It's a place where he feels at home, right? You know, primarily because it's got the highest crime rate ever in its history.
Yeah, good point.
We've got to change. He is not changing course. They are emboldened. America has to understand we've got to get a new president, and thank God we have a Republican majority so we can stop most of this.
Okay, when do you expect Kevin McCarthy to come out with a counteroffer? And I'll add to that, is there anything in this bill that Republicans are behind? Joe Biden's got $886 billion allocated for defense spending. That's close to the most ever. Is that something Republicans are happy about?
Well, I suppose so. I suppose many are. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I have to see where it's being allocated. I know where weaknesses are and our strengths are in cyber, in various types of intel. You know, the whole idea with Ukraine, look, I'm all behind Ukraine. But how hard have we tried to get our allies to pay their share equivalent to where we are? Or is America just American taxpayers just footing the bill? So no. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't mean to cut you off. I was just going to ask you what you made of the president. He did it 16 times. We counted. Calling out MAGA Republicans. Now, I imagine that phrase has been poll tested, and they think it's good for Joe Biden heading into 2024. Is that a winning strategy?
That's all this is about. It's about messaging. It's about the politics. They are about continuing the issue rather than solving the problem. I mean, and blaming it on whomever they want to blame it on. From the border. I mean, look at the disaster that's occurred in Mexico due to our open border policy, us basically giving drug dealers a place to build their businesses, for crying out loud, and make the poor young people of America their customer. Yeah, so everything that this organization does, this administration, is backfiring, and that's what happens with extreme liberalism. Right.
Congressman Dan Meuser, great to see you. Appreciate you coming on this morning. Have a great weekend. We'll pick this back up next week. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.